Welcome back to another episode. Today we have questions that relate to astigmatism, and this is quite a often asked question, astigmatism, and it's my most popular video on my channel is how I fixed my astigmatism. So let's get down to the questions here. So the first one is a comment that was on my how I fixed my astigmatism video. It says, "Brilliant, so when you train your astigmatic eyes, you take your glasses off, I assume. So does the cylinder in your glasses mess up your progress once you put your glasses back on?" That's a really good question, and the same will apply to your myopic part of your prescription. So just to clarify, for myopia, the part of your prescription that relates to that is SPH, and for astigmatism, the part of your prescription that relates to that is CYL. So, if you're training your astigmatism, it depends on the level of your astigmatism. If you have -5 astigmatism, then I would recommend having a normalized set of glasses, and let's preface all of this again, which I always have to say this because people get mixed up. I am talking about lens-induced astigmatism here. I'm not talking about genuine astigmatism, which is the genetic condition that causes double vision and ghost images. Genetic meaning you were born with it. What I had is lens-induced astigmatism, which is astigmatism which is brought about by wearing glasses for myopia, so glasses with the SPH prescription. In doing so, that can bring about symptoms that are very similar to genuine astigmatism, that is, that double vision that you see. So for me, I started wearing glasses when I was 13, which had just an SPH or myopia prescription in them, and it wasn't until about 10 years into wearing those glasses that the optician started introducing cylinder, which is for astigmatism. And over time then that cylinder grew each time I went back to the optician. So for me, I was 23 I think when I first started having cylinder astigmatism put into my correction, and I have now eliminated that astigmatism from my correction, so it's not genetic for me. So I just want to preface this question: if you're talking about lens-induced astigmatism, then this may be useful for you. If it's genuine astigmatism, then I'm afraid it probably won't help. Anyway, so if you were starting at -5 CYL, astigmatism correction, you would have a pair of normalized glasses which would be about a quarter to half a diopter less. And then for differential glasses, which are close-up glasses, if you're just talking purely about lens-induced astigmatism, they'll be about -1.5 or more less than your -5. So you could be in the region of -3.5 to -3 for these ones. But if you have a smaller astigmatism correction, like just -1 for example, you can eliminate that from your close-up, your differential glasses prescription. Lens-induced astigmatism is much more prevalent when you're viewing things from distance. When you're doing things close up, it's not as present symptomatically, so you don't really need it if you've got a prescription of less than -1 when you're getting differential glasses. So I hope that's clear. And yeah, in terms of training, this goes the same. You ask, does the cylinder in your glasses mess up your progress once you put your glasses back on? It will if they're too strong for you. So the whole modus operandi, the whole crux of this method is that you're stimulating your eyes to improve. So you should always be giving your eyes a little bit of a challenge to improve. So if you try to train your eyes and to improve your lens-induced astigmatism with your glasses off, you'll just be picking a distance where you look at an eye chart where you've that small level of blur. So it's not completely the same for each person. So let's just take one scenario. You're a person with -1 astigmatism correction. If you probably only need to wear that correction when you're doing things like looking into the distance and driving. Other than that, you probably don't really need them, but if you do, maybe you just need a much reduced prescription, like minus 0.25 or minus 0.5. If that's the case, that you're wearing that weaker prescription, then you can train with those glasses on, and then you stand at a distance from your eye chart where those astigmatic symptoms appear, so you have that double vision, that ghost image, and then you can work on it, or you can take your glasses off and stand at a distance where those ghost images are quite close together. So it's all about managing the blur and working at a level of blur that is stimulating rather than stressful. If you've got too much blur, or if the double image is too far away, it's really impossible to fuse it together. If it's just a little bit away, that double image, then it's easier to fuse it. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know how you get on, and yeah, it'd be great to hear back from you to see how you're making progress with that. Thanks for the question. It's really good to address that and clear it up. And as I say, I hope that's clear. Now, moving on to another question that we have today, which says, I have spherical and cylindrical axis both for the eyes. What to do? Well, I've kind of addressed this in the original question, the first question that we had today. It's very difficult to give generic advice when we don't have the full prescription here, so I'm going to have to just make some assumptions. I'm going to take it that, for example, you have -3 spherical prescription and -1 cylindrical prescription. If that's the case, I would recommend working solely on the spherical part of your prescription, that is the myopic part of your prescription at the beginning. So I get normalized glasses, so that'd be reducing -3 down by about 1/4 to half a diopter. That's your new distance vision glasses that are just for walking around and looking in the distance. If you're driving, wear your full prescription, be safe, don't be silly about things. And then if you're for differential glasses, then they're about 1.5 diopters less than your normalized glasses, so in this case about -1.5 or -1.25. That's what you would do. You practice active focus for a time until those glasses become too strong, at which point you drop the prescription of your normalized and your differentials down by another 1/4 of a diopter. And I would do this 2 or 3 times, ideally 3 times, where you get used to dropping your spherical prescription. After that, then I would address the astigmatism, and I would leave the spherical prescription the same and do 1 drop of a 1/4 diopter on your cylindrical prescription, and then work on astigmatism. And then after doing 1 astigmatism correction, then I'd go back to spherical and drop spherical again once or twice before going back to the astigmatism. The spherical, the reason I say this is because the spherical part of the process is a little bit easier, and so working to make those reductions in the spherical part of your prescription first is easier, and then when you have the success on that, it's much easier to tackle the astigmatism part of it. And again, as I said in the first question, when we're talking about astigmatism here, I'm talking about lens-induced astigmatism. I'm not talking about genuine astigmatism, which is a genetic condition that, as far as we know, cannot be fixed. So, I hope that answers your question. Let me know how you get on. Feel free to comment back in the future, and yeah, I hope those 2 answers to those questions were helpful today, and that is it for today, and I'll see you in the next episode.